Anybody who comes to leadership and starts by saying that everything that his predecessor did is bad is a lazy leader. Because you must be able to see what is good and build on it if you have come in the interest of the people.
Yes, that was the former governor of Abia State, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, castigating, even though it is indirectly, the government of Alex Otti. Because of course, you know, if you are in Abia State, you will understand this. Now, this is not me being against anybody or being for anybody, because I am the vlogger. I bring the news as it is and based on what people have said. Now, if you're in Abia State, and based on what I've gotten from people that live in Abia State, you would know that Alex Otti is doing a very good job. Now, in the most of the places and most of the pictures and videos that I've seen, and even when I've gone and I have noticed it, I have seen it with my eyes, I noticed that for the first time in a very long time, Abia residents, they are very happy with their governor and they love whatever it is that he's doing. Now, he might not be doing enough, but the ones that he's doing well. Of course, it is just Abia State and Enugu State in the whole of the southeast that people have been commending, their governors for doing so marvelously well and for turning their states into construction sites. Now, Okezie Ikpeazu came out to say that if a leader comes into leadership and the first thing the leader says is that the predecessors have done nothing or has done bad, then that leader is lazy. Now, why do I say it is an indirect slight on the person of Alex Otti, that is the current governor of Abia State? That is because when Alex Otti came into power, the first thing he did, just like every other person would do if a different party is coming into power, is to say that the former administration did nothing or former administration was very bad. As long as it is that they did not come from the same party, if power changed hands, then the former governor did rubbish. But if they were of the same party, what you'll be hearing is that you want to build on the legacies of the former governor. So it is very understandable. And even if you look at it from an objective sense, you would agree with me that is if you are in Abia State. And if you are not in Abia State, if you have talked with people from Abia State, you will still agree with me that because of the high level of godfatherism that played out prior to the coming of Alex Otti, it is clear and obvious that it would be impossible, to be difficult, if not impossible, that the former governor, which is the Okezie Ikpeazu, would have done much. Godfatherism is a menace and should be, stopped. So it is even believable that he did not do anything. But he wants to defend himself. He probably did not like the fact that Alex Otti said that he did not do anything, and that was why he came out to say that any leader that comes into leadership and says that the predecessors did not do well, that leader is lazy. Because you have to see good in the things that he has done or in the things that the predecessors have done and to build on it. That is, if at all you are there for the betterment of the people you claim to be leading. So now, this was not the problem. Well, like I said, if somebody comes from a different party, it is always criticisms upon criticisms of the predecessors. But if they come from the same party, it is always, I am building on what this person has done. It's just like what is happening in APC in the whole of Nigeria today, at the center, at the national level, where the person that is ruling us now, that is Tinubu, was saying that he will continue from where Buhari stopped, as if Buhari did so much. So that is why even if the hunger and everything is happening in Nigeria like this, I don't blame him. I don't blame anybody, because Tinubu promised us, and he's keeping to his promise, that he will continue from where Buhari stopped. So continuing from where Buhari stopped is also pushing the nation down more than how Buhari pushed it to. So I don't see a reason why people will be surprised that he's not doing much. So that is exactly what is also happening in Abia State. Now the powers have changed hands, and Alex Otti has been criticizing. People that support Alex Otti have been criticizing the former administration of Okezie Ikpeazu and all that. So if he did well as a governor, that is Okezie Ikpeazu, I don't think, yes, even though the criticisms will be there because it's a different party, of course the people will come out to fight for him and say yes, he did well. See what happened in Akwa Ibom State, when even though it is still the same party that took over, but when EFCC came to probe into the activities of Godswill Akpabio, the people were the ones that got up and said anything that you are doing, that what we know is that he worked, and all these things that you are trying to come and prove is not supposed to be. The people actually protested them investigating the Godswill Akpabio, because Godswill Akpabio worked in Akwa Ibom State. Now, if at all Okezie Ikpeazu worked, I don't think he will be the one saying or telling us what he did. Everybody would have been seeing it, and everybody would have known that this is what he did. So, but one thing that got my attention was after he finished saying that it is not really nice for you to castigate your predecessors, that you should just continue with the works that your predecessors have done if you're in the betterment of the people. He still went ahead to castigate his own predecessor.
So the picture in Abia State in 2015 was very, very, very gloomy. The internal factors included poor infrastructure, poor substructure in the education sector. In fact, school enrollment was just 150,000 pupils in public schools.
Because he said that when he came in 2015, everywhere was just stupid, everywhere was just like that, the gloomy nature, the infrastructure deficit was too much, like they had to start, building the road. So is that not a slight on his predecessor, who was his godfather, T.A Orji, saying that when he came in 2015, that everywhere was so bad that he had to start, that is also criticizing his predecessor. And that also means that he is lazy. But when he came into power, it was as a result of the help of T.A Orji that he came into power. So there was no how he would have criticized him, but now he's criticizing him. Of course, T.A Orji has replied him, telling him to carry his cross himself. That how can you say that it is not good to criticize your predecessor and you are also in the same breath, in the same meeting, in the same speech criticizing your own predecessor? Boastfully and in bragging, he said that he was able to come up with school feeding. Like he said it is his strategy. He was talking about strategy in this plan, strategic leadership and all that. So his strategy for bringing more pupils to school was to feed them.
We were able to achieve by 2023 600,000 pupils in public schools. How did we do it? We just used school feeding. For us, when the federal government said, we're going to feed from primary 1 to 3, we said in Abia we will feed primary 1 to 6.
So you see how politicians look at you and I, yeah? So what he would say that he had contributed to the educational sector. They say, what did you contribute to the education sector as a governor of Abia State when you were the governor? His response would be that he fed pupils from primary 1 to primary 6. That is when federal government was already feeding from primary 1 to primary 3. So in all honesty, what you have contributed to the educational sector is feeding from primary 4 to primary 6. Now, it was in his own tenure that people were agitating that he was owing civil servants, he was owing lecturers, he was owing teachers. So, you were providing food for the pupils, but you were not providing food for the teacher. Is that not? Well, I am not going into criticizing anybody. Yeah? I'm not going into criticizing anybody. This news was because of what he said about his successor and what he says about his successor, saying that if anybody coming into leadership says bad about his successor, it means that he's lazy and he doesn't want to work. So that's just what I got to you. But so this is a news for people from Abia State. People from Abia State, what do you think? Do you think that Alex Otti is doing well more than Okezie Ikpeazu? Or do you think it's a sign of laziness that Alex Otti is criticizing the things, or he's not even? Because I also heard that most of the structures that Okezie Ikpeazu built, something like incomplete gutters and all that Alex Otti was dismantling them and building his own. So, do you think that is a very good thing to do? Of course, there's a place of yes, this thing is not very good. Maybe it is substandard. Then we are removing it to put a very standard one. Do you think that is what happened, or do you think they don't just want anything the predecessors have done to stay remain in the legacy of the state? So, what do you come of this stuff? You are free to be one-sided, you are free to be two-sided, you are free to be objective, you are free to be subjective. I'll be in the comments waiting. Please do well to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much. This is Prof TV, and we'll still keep bringing you updates.
And my understanding at that time was that, how do you have 3 pupils going to school? One is in primary 4, holding his younger brother in primary 1, and every day that is primary 1 will take 1 egg. And the one in primary 4 will not eat alone. If on their way back to school there's a fight, that my small brother will fight alone because he ate his egg alone.